Yeah, there is a really huge difference. Like, I think the lecturers here in Germany, their teaching style is much more like they encourage critical thinking. Like, you need to have a good foundation, and then they encourage you to have like critical thinking and think like you have to find out yourself how to solve this problem. But compared to like in Malaysia, I think most of the Asian countries have the same problem. Is like we are given the solution beforehand, and we learn by that. So I think that's a huge difference.
So for sure, every discipline is a word itself. That is for sure. But what I would like to say is that the German system has a specific logic, which is the logic of critical thinking, of fostering critical thinking in students and giving responsibility to students also for their own learning process. Like in Italy, there are just, now it's changing slowly, but traditionally there is just Vorlesungen, so like lessons which the professor speaks for 1.5 hours and everyone writes everything what the professor says, because at the end there is the exam. And in the exam you don't have to show that you think with your head, you have to show that you understood, not just like memory, but you understood the complex things. But it's not interesting that you work out of what the professor has said in your brain and create something and associate with new knowledge. So when people come here, that is a kind of maybe a shock, a difference, but it's actually a difference which can really enrich you, because it's challenging because you have to come out of your role of passive learner into an active learner, in the sense that you really are responsible for what are you going to learn. Yeah? In many cases you don't have to do an exam, but you have to do to write a scientific paper already, you know. And in Italy, for example, you have it just at the end of your study. So you have to write a papers, and that means that you have to decide, okay, what I'm interested in, yeah, and create it. So in this sense, there is much more participation. It's expected your participation, expected that you read, you think, and you say, no, I don't agree with this. Yeah, obviously not because you just woke up and you don't agree with this, but you have to have good reasons. But it's very, very important. That actually leads to conflicts also, and to problems sometimes with students which are not used to it.
Well, in Germany, it's much liked if you're actively taking part in the lectures, if you're asking questions, if you discuss things. Yeah, that means the professor or the teacher sees you are dealing with that topic in your head. You're thinking about. You have an idea. You have a question. So this being active, bringing in your own ideas, is just in the end really a requirement. Different from getting to know the knowledge, make it in your head and repeat it at the exam. Professors often ask, well, okay, you have the ground knowledge, but imagine a special case. How do you think you could solve any technical or any other problem? And then you are asked to use the knowledge you have. Not the knowledge itself is wanted, but the ability to use it, to work with that. It's like a handicrafting. And this means students need to be active themselves. And this is, in our experience, often different to the experience students have from home. While also German students have their problems with this. However, they might be a little bit better prepared, but really it depends on the course, it depends on the country you're coming from, it depends on the experience you have.
Hier bei uns ist es egal, ob man in einer Vorlesung ist oder Seminar oder auch in einem Kolloquium, ist es gewollt, dass die Studierenden miteinander diskutieren. Das gilt für Ingenieursbereiche wie für geisteswissenschaftliche Bereiche oder für den Bereich Management. Das gilt für alle Bereiche. Es ist gewollt, dass die Studierenden miteinander diskutieren und dadurch die Thematik verstehen. Und es ist auch gewollt, dass die Studierenden mit dem Professor sprechen, dass im Seminar ein Dialog entsteht.
The good thing is that the seminars are taught not by professors, but by postdocs, or I don't know, like people more too close to your level, and that also I think, provides like a good exchange atmosphere that you don't feel pressured and you kind of feel that you are on an equal level and then you kind of learn from each other. I think that's important in the academic culture.
Anders als in anderen Ländern ist es in Deutschland so, dass eigentlich alles in der Vorlesungszeit oder in der Seminarzeit gemacht werden soll. Das heißt, in der Zeit hat man die Möglichkeit und darf Rückfragen stellen. Und das ist überhaupt keine Kritik an den Professor. Der nimmt das auch nicht persönlich und ist verärgert. Er möchte das, dass Sie in der Vorlesung die Fragen stellen. Ich habe das nicht verstanden. Können Sie das nochmal erklären? Oder bedeutet das etwa das? Also Sie dürfen auch Nachfragen stellen. Und genau das ist gewollt. Das ist ganz anders als in anderen Ländern. Das ist mir bewusst.
So I personally like the connections that I have built over here in terms of with my professor as well as with my peers, because I believe a lot in peer-to-peer learning, and in my course specifically I have people coming in from multiple backgrounds, from multiple countries, and the process of learning with each other became very easy basically. And yeah, I mean, everyone has a different perspective, everyone has a different story to share.
Ja, also ich habe am Anfang ein paar Freunde gehabt, wir haben zusammen gelernt, also so eine Lerngruppe gehabt, wo wir also untereinander Deutsch gesprochen haben, damit wir also die Klausuren bestehen können und alles zusammen machen können. Und das hat mir gut geholfen, weil alleine konnte ich das nicht schaffen. Wenn wir das zusammen machen, und dann hat man auch die Motivation, was Gutes zu lernen.